What's up?
Nothing much.
I got a little voicemail for us.
Ah, right.
Lord in heaven, this is Jonathan from Arizona in the United States of America. You know, the country you forgot about, or maybe you're just judging. Anyway, I just want to come before you right now and lift up Christian Kingery. You're the God of time, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And I just pray that you would intervene in Chris's life a couple weeks ago when he was furiously masturbating to VR Asian midget porn, and he tripped and he fell and he broke his neck. And I just ask that you spare his neck and you mess up his hand and his wrist instead, so that he might repent and remain forever in your grip instead of his own. In Jesus' name, Dick Bush out.
Dude, that's amazing.
It worked.
That is amazing. Imagine how much worse it could have been for you.
Yeah, totally.
You could have broken your neck, dude.
That was so nice.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you, Lord.
That made me laugh today.
It's funny, like those phrases, those prayer phrases.
We come
like,
before you.
Yeah, we just come before you right now.
Well, the word just.
Yeah.
We just.
Yeah.
I just. Will you just?
Yeah.
Let him just.
Yeah.
Like how did just get to be the comma or the filler word?
Yeah, because you don't talk to anyone else that way. You don't go to the bank and you're like, I just want you to just like put this money and just put this money in my account.
Yeah.
And just like give me a balance at the end. You don't say just all the time.
I'm going to start doing that, though.
Yeah, we should just start talking to everybody the way we talk to Jesus.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of this thing, this cast on my arm, I've weighed 188 for 2 days in a row. And this cast is at least, and bandages is at least a pound.
Wow.
So as soon as I get this off, I'm going to drop right down to like 187, 186.
At least
What are you at right now?
184. 184.
So I'm like going to be, I'm like 7 pounds lighter than you right now.
But yeah.
Thinner.
Here's but this goes to
eventually next I'm going to be like 183 and you'll be like, well, my legs are actually bigger than yours now. So.
I think they are. I feel like they are. I'm never going to let you have this.
I know.
Because I know you want it bad.
When I was 30 pounds away from you, you were like, yeah, your legs are like 15 pounds heavier than mine. Yeah. And I got within 10 pounds and you're like.
Now my legs got bigger.
And now I'm within 4 pounds of you and you're like, you don't let me have it.
Well, but my thing the other week about how come if you think like you could weigh that cast and that cast weighs a pound, but then you have it taken off and you go up.
Yeah.
Because weight is just a miracle directly caused by Jesus. Because it's like, who knows what's going to happen.
Chloe today looks at me and she goes, are you thinner than yesterday? And I just go, probably. I have this new scale. It's at Tech City, it's called. And it gives me a bunch of stats with my weight, like my BMI. And my BMI says I'm overweight.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not.
BMI is stupid, though.
I'm not even a little bit overweight right now. I'm like pretty thin. And then it also gives your body fat percentage. It tells me I'm 24.3. But I bet I'm under 20 right now.
Yeah.
It's just these, I don't think they really work. I think they're taking a guess based on my height and my weight. They do have these sensors, though, that are on the bottom of my feet that sense stuff, but I don't think they work very well.
They don't sense shit.
It's telling me like my protein is 17.3%. My bone mass is 7.2 pounds.
And let me guess, there's a star that's 95 trillion light years away that might have a puddle of water on it so humans could live there. Fuck off. It's all just bullshit. They don't know anything. Like I'm reading...
Fuck science.
I'm reading that book, Sapiens,
which
you can see over your shoulder. And it's just like, it's fascinating and I'm loving it. But it's like I'm never ever like I'm applying what the scientists would call the greatest virtue ever, namely skepticism, to science.
Yes.
Which makes them really mad. But it's just like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
How do you know that 80,000 years ago this happened? It's like, yeah, you found like some crushed fucking skull. And you're trying to tell me that by looking at what you think might have been a tooth, that they had a diet rich in polyunsaturated fat. It's like, fuck you. You don't know that. You just have
You don't think there's more to it than that?
Of course, there's more to it. But
I never know totally with you.
I don't want you to. I want to keep you guessing. Keep you flat-footed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just is a lot of like detail.
I agree. It seems like there's a lot of guesswork and theories that get filled in with stuff they find, right? But that's what it all is. It's a theory until it's proven wrong.
One of the
I
things
just realized I never sent those books out for Christmas. Remember we called Claire Thacker and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give those to you to send.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Shoot, sorry guys.
But like, it is one of the things he said that was interesting in that *Sapiens* book is this myth of man being at peace with nature and harmony with nature is a complete lie, because Homo sapiens are the most lethal creature ever to roam the earth. And it's talking about how, like, when, on this date, it was like March 3rd, 400 million BC or whatever. No, but the day that like we first went to, made it to Australia, like 80% of the species that lived there died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's still like, I still have questions about like, how exactly do you know that? And how much of this is like, you've got this predetermined calendar of events,
right,
and you just try to force things into it,
right?
But it is interesting though, because
it's very interesting.
Apparently we kill just about everything we come in
well
contact.
And Homo erectus killed, or the Homo sapiens killed Homo whatever erectus,
Homo erectus, and there's Neanderthals.
Neanderthals. Basically they look back and think it was like mostly like it was like genocide, like in the Homo sapiens are the ones who survived.
Well, there are two theories. One of them was the I forget what the two theories were. One of them was it was like a big genocide. One of them was just that we because we evolved the ability of speech.
Yeah.
And one of the most interesting things he says in there is about because other animals like bonobos and chimpanzees and stuff, like, they can communicate with speech. Like, they can say things like an eagle is in the air,
right,
or a lion is on the ground, and when they make a certain call,
it's a warning sign.
Everyone will climb a tree or go duck under cover all the other monkeys in the tribe.
Yeah.
But what Homo sapiens evolved to be able to do is to describe fictional things.
Right.
So it's like,
that was really fascinating.
Yeah, and they have that old ancient sketch of like a man with a lion's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's like once you can develop the ability to speak fictionally and mythologically about gods or he doesn't just use ancient stuff. He uses like a corporation.
Yeah.
A corporation is a myth. God is a myth. The great, elephant in the sky is a myth.
But you heard it here. God is a myth. Jason Stellman said it.
But you can gather a society around
ideas,
and you can somehow get thousands and tens of thousands of people to cooperate if they're gathered underneath the banner of some sort of mythological idea.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that was very fascinating.
Yeah, the book's really interesting. I just have my doubts.
And you're gonna read Homo Deus later.
Yeah.
Well, and then it gets really interesting because the closer you get to our own time, it's not so theoretical, right? And then when you get into Homo Deus, it's all about what the future could be like.
Yeah, see, I'm interested in that a lot. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm Christian.
I'm Jason.
And you're listening to Drunk Ex-Pastors, or watching Drunk Ex-Pastors on YouTube.
Yeah, who knows?
Okay, so we have no PayPal donations, no patrons. Let's do a shot.
Huh. I kind of don't feel like celebrating anything all of a sudden.
We are going back to Fireball because we're poor now. Because we have no patrons or donations.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Cheers.
Here are the shot glasses from the last cruise that we went on, which was, 3 weeks ago? Were we on the cruise 3 weeks ago? Yeah. It's the 18th today. So yeah, it was like the 28th. So we had like 3 more days left of the cruise. I want to go back to there. I mean, I want to go back to that day
Yeah.
on that cruise. I mean, any day on the cruise, but actually the first day because we had 6 days left after that.
Yeah.
I like being on cruises. I like being places warm.
Yeah.
It's been pretty nice weather here the last few days, though. But not like it hasn't been like 70, but it's been sunny. I've been letting the chickens out and to roam around and stuff because it's sunny out.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Especially with this shit job I have.
Yeah.
The rain and the cold just sucks.
You do have a shit job, but I kind of envy your shit job right now.
Yeah, you were saying earlier.
Yeah, like on days when you're just not feeling very good or you're kind of depressed or sad and stuff.
I don't feel very good.
I wish I had a job where I was digging a ditch or something.
Yeah.
Or hammering nails or something where I didn't have to, I could just do it and be sad or whatever,
That was one of my biggest issues when I had quasi-corporate jobs like copywriting for companies, even as a freelancer.
Yeah.
Or when I worked at Logos software company in Bellingham, where it's like I constantly felt like I'm not doing anything and I need to somehow show that I've done something.
Yeah, like send an email saying I wrote this person or I talked to this person or whatever.
But it kind of goes to show that most corporate work is just the majority of your time is spent trying to justify why your position even exists.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends. There are some jobs like I have friends at Moss Adams and know people who work there. It's like they can't get their work done in 40 hours. Mm-hmm. And I've had times like that there, like when we were doing the rebrand a few years ago and stuff. Generally, I have no problem getting my work done in 40 hours. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's I'm looking for stuff to do and finding stuff to do. But yeah, I think it just depends. There's a lot of people I know who are working their asses off, and there's others who aren't.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah,
like I know someone I don't want to say on the air, but when they work at home, they're like just watching TV. It's not me, by the way. When I'm saying I don't want to say on the air, it's not me. No, but it's like, they their job doesn't require a lot from them at that moment, and so they're,
Yeah. I was just I always felt pressure because it's like you want to deliver some tangible result. Like here's the copy, here's the article I wrote or whatever. But when it's not that kind of work, then it's like, how do I even justify the existence of my position at all?
Right.
Whereas like at the casino, it's like, no, you just you look around and you see what needs to be done. Like, oh, I'm up, so I'm gonna go wait to get keys. Oh, I got keys. I'm gonna go bring a car down for somebody. I brought a car down. Some cars need to be parked. I'm gonna go park some, or I'm gonna ticket some vehicles, or I'm gonna open the door for these people. It's like you don't have to ever find something to do. It's just work in front of you. That's like working on an assembly line or something where it's like, you take this thing off the thing and you put it in the box and you put it on this other
right. And you just keep doing that
all
day. I don't know about those monotonous jobs. I like that too. Like I'll see like a documentary with factory workers. Yeah. And it's just like they're boom, 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 boom. And like, how do you do that for 8 hours a day or 10 or 12, especially in other countries?
Yeah.
Like how?
Well, I mean, 8-year-olds are, they got a lot of energy.
I mean, oh my God. 8-year-olds.
8-year-olds, dude.
Okay. So you just watched Origins, which I watched on Friday night and told you to watch. And you'd never seen it.
No. I have to say this. It felt weird and strangely exhilarating to just sit at home and watch TV during the day.
Yeah, so because I told you, was it like last night or yesterday, you should go to watch this movie, and I said you should watch it so we can talk about it on the podcast, but I didn't think you'd actually get it watched. So I was stoked when you wrote today and said, I'm watching Origins.
Yeah. It cost me $4, so Patreon, someone needs to reimburse me for this shit.
So, okay, if you haven't seen Origins...
don't watch the trailer.
Don't watch the trailer, and we won't spoil anything right now about it.
We won't?
We'll try not to spoil anything.
Even though it's a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old movie.
It's been out for a while. Britt Marling, she's adorable. You liked the other girl, Sophie, a little more.
Yeah, she's called Astrid Bursey. I don't know.
She's got a bunch of accent marks on her.
She's
name.
She's like born in Barcelona,
really?
but she's part Spanish, part French.
Huh.
I'm like, could there be a better combination?
Hey, Put that thing away.
I'm not putting anything away.
Yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting movie. It deals like some with questions of faith versus science, right?
Spirituality.
Yeah. They are trying to figure out if they could how the eye evolved.
Yeah, the main character is a scientist who studies the human or all eyes.
Right.
And they there's so much stuff happening.
It's hard to say without. They're basically trying to. They start realizing that eyes are unique. You know, there's no two human beings alive at the same time who have the same iris, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to determine if eyes evolved or not. They're trying to prove that the eye evolved, basically.
Yeah, he wants to, because he says the eye is the one thing that religious people throw at us to prove or to try to prove that there's an intelligent designer, the human eye. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I want to end that debate.
Yeah.
By basically creating an eye from scratch.
Yeah.
And they actually do it. Like they're able to. They have some species of worm that they are able to give some sort of eye to.
But at the same time, it's a love story. It's tragic.
It's got a really good soundtrack.
It's got a great soundtrack.
Did you know that the song
it ends with Radiohead?
I know. I was gonna say the song that's playing at the end is Radiohead. You know what that song is called?
What?
Motion picture soundtrack.
Really? Of course it is. Well, Exit film is called Exit Music for a Film. The one that's in Romeo and Juliet. Mm-hmm. So when they make a song for a movie, they just like, let's just call this one. It's for a movie.
Well, it's like U2 made an album. Well, it's not a U2 album. It's by a band called Passengers, but it's the members of U2 plus Brian Eno.
Oh, okay.
But it's a
when was this?
1994, 5.
Okay.
But it's all soundtracks to films that have not been made.
Oh, really?
So it's just a bunch of it's original soundtracks. 1 is the name of the album, and it's all soundtracks or songs from movies that don't exist.
Is it a good album?
It's great.
Why didn't it get more play or whatever?
Because it's totally avant-garde. It's
I don't know what avant-garde means.
It's super artsy and it's kind of like
I do know what artsy means.
Yeah, so it's the kind of thing that like the record company was like, you can't call this a U2 album. But it's
Speaking of Passengers, do you know this song?
Oh, they're playing a song for me.
Seriously? It's Iggy Pop.
Oh, I don't know any Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
Iggy Pop and the Stooges?
I love this song. I've heard it a lot. I don't know how I've heard it a lot, but it was on the, I want to say penultimate episode of Narcos Mexico, season 2.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Which
I love this song.
trying to get me to watch.
I'm like, I love this song. And so I added it to my playlist. So I didn't know it was like Iggy Pop or anything. I've heard the song a bunch of times.
How is that? Is it called Passengers or something?
It's called The Passenger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what reminded me of when you said Passengers.
Yeah.
So anyway, Eye Origins. Watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's I. It's capital I, not EYE, but I space Origins.
Don't watch the trailer first.
Yeah.
Just watch the movie. Trust us, it's good. You'll like it.
It's
trippy.
It's weird. It's like charming and kind of an indie.
It's good on mushrooms. A friend
story.
told me that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like there's the love story component to it, and then there's some supernatural stuff, and it answers or it addresses a lot of big issues like the relationship with spirituality and science.
And it's got good music.
I feel like the I don't know who directed it or what the impetus was or goal was, but I feel like it was trying to
prove that like there's more to this life than just
it's
materialism.
It's definitely showing the limitations of your life if you're a pure materialist scientist with no, because there's the point where he's yelling at his wife going like soul, like she's like, maybe eyes are the window to the soul. He's like, soul, are you kidding me right now? Like, can you hear yourself? Like, you're embarrassing me.
Right.
It's not, it doesn't reflect well upon that kind of overly clinical worldview.
Yeah. That's why I recommended it to you. I thought you would like it.
I like that stuff. I do, because I think that way of looking at the world is incredibly reductionistic and boring.
And I don't want to give anything away about the movie, but if what proves to be true in the movie was real in real life, which is possible, I love it.
Yeah, me too.
That's like what I hope.
I actually wrote myself an email during while watching it this afternoon. Just the title of which was just books on reincarnation, because I'm curious to read. I mean, I want to read more about that.
Yeah.
You know?
So like I just mentioned, I just finished Narcos Mexico season 2. So there was the original Narcos series on Netflix.
Yeah, I watched the first season. How many seasons
There's
were
3
there
seasons
of Narcos?
Yeah, that deals all with Pablo Escobar and the Cali cartel in Colombia. And then they go and change to Narcos Mexico, and they've done 2 seasons, and they're in talks for a 3rd season, which I really hope they do.
Is it as good as Narcos?
It's almost better.
Is
It's
it
hard
the
for me
same-
not to say it's better.
Same cast or totally different cast?
So that's the funny thing is that the what's happening in Mexico is, I mean,
Because the first
I don't
one
wanna-
is like
this isn't
Colombia.
this isn't a spoiler because it happened in real life, but Pablo Escobar dies eventually.
What?
Okay, but Narcos Mexico has Pablo Escobar in it because he's not dead yet, because they go back in time, to when this stuff's happening in Mexico.
Does it take place in the 70s?
80s.
80s.
Yeah, because I think the Colombian one starts in the 70s, but the Mexican one starts in the 80s, but Pablo Escobar is still alive. And like all these characters like Miguel Felix Angel Gallardo, the main like kingpin of Mexico, and El Chapo is in it. He's the guy that built all the tunnels and stuff.
Yeah, he keeps escaping.
Yeah, and Amado, this guy Amado, I can't remember his last name. And
Probably Rodriguez.
this guy Pablo Acosta, who was dating like this American woman, this like cute younger American woman. He's this like ugly old Mexican drug lord. I was reading about her today online, but I went and read about the main characters, like these guys I just mentioned, on Wikipedia, and pretty much everything in the show really happened. They use some DEA agents that are like amalgamations of people, and these characters didn't actually exist, but kind of the idea behind it did, But the actual guys they're talking about in Mexico, they all existed, and this stuff all happened to them, and it's pretty incredible. And your Spanish will be so good by the end of it. Like 2/3, if not 3/4 of it is in Spanish.
And see, like when I'm watching something that I like,
Yeah.
and it's mostly in another language that I have some familiarity with, I like that. Like when I was watching Narcos season 1, I'm like, I love this because I'm listening to the Spanish, going like, oh, it's interesting it's interesting the translation choices they're making.
Yeah.
Like when they'll same English word, but it'll be 2 different Spanish words.
Right.
I'm like, oh, interesting that it's like,
Yeah, like they'll call him El Chapito, but on the subtitles it'd be El Chapo.
Yeah. But knowing before I'm invested in something that like watching fucking, what's that Parasite movie?
I want to watch that one so bad.
But it's like knowing already before I've invested in it, like, oh, hey, watch this movie in Korean.
Right.
It's like, yeah, just or I can just shove needles into my eyes. Right. I already work with a bunch of Chinese people, and I got to listen to that shit constantly. I was walking by. I got to work the other day, and I'm walking in, right in the employee entrance, right behind all these Chinese guys.
Yeah.
And they're all just talking super loud.
Yeah.
And Patrick, the guy I work with, he's walking the other direction, so I just walk by him.
Yeah.
And he knows I'm going to start a restaurant, and so I look at Patrick. I'm like, I'm really going to miss this. And he just started cracking up because it's like,
because you hate Chinese people talking.
yeah, just just pipe down.
The season 1 of Narcos Mexico has Michael Pena in it. Mm-hmm. He plays Kiki Camarona, the real guy. Season 2 has Scoot McNairy, who I'm going to make the Sturgises drink a shot right now, was Gordon in *Halt and Catch Fire*, and he's awesome. Mm-hmm. So, and I hopefully season 3, I want them to focus a little more on Amado and Chapito and all those guys, because, dude, I was so bummed when it was over. I'm like, my heart was just pounding during it, watching it. I'm like, this is so good. Yeah.
See, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones.
I know you're always writing me saying I need something to watch, and I tell you stuff to watch, and you're like, I'm just gonna rewatch Game of Thrones.
Well, I'll start watching something like I started watching Altered Carbon,
Yeah.
and it's just like
I've started it twice. I don't know why I can't get into it. It's got a bunch of like sex and stuff in it. Why can't I get into it?
yeah.
It's sci-fi.
I know, and I'm like, this is not what I thought it was gonna be. Like it's some guy, he's some bounty hunter, he's gonna go trying to kill people. It's like, okay, this looks like the Terminator or some shit. You know, it's like I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
But then I'll take a couple of weeks in between shows, and I'll just be like, oh no, I'm watching just comedy or music at night. But then I'll be like, no, I need a new show to watch, and it's like if nothing's like jumping out at me. And I've been wanting to rewatch Game of Thrones now that it's over, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing.
Have you gone back since I told you to and watched Jim Jeffries' comedy special Freedom? First of all, it's Freedom with D-U-M-B.
I mean, I've seen it, but it's been a while.
It's like one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen.
Really?
It's funny because he I think even says in there like I'm hardly literate, you know, but he writes the whole thing, and the jokes and the points he's making are poignant and like phenomenal, you know. And I'm watching it going, yeah, you might be autistic, you know, because he talks about that, but you're brilliant, you know. And
Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really funny, and a lot of it centers around his comedy special before that was called Bear, B-A-R-E, and that's where he does the whole gun thing.
Yeah,
you know, it's like a 15-minute spiel on guns.
Yeah, which is what kind of went viral and
went viral, made him famous. Well, his comedy special Freedom, he talks about that, and then it's about half hour in where he starts talking about that, and then for pretty much the rest of the show, it becomes very political, and it's just amazing. It's so good, and he just like his points and his reasoning is so right on. He talks about how like there are 92 free countries in the world. You know, every English country is free because he's talking about how Americans think they, you know, have the monopoly on freedom, you know.
Well, that's why 9/11 happened, because they hate us for our freedom.
Right. And then he goes on to talk about all the ways in that other countries are freer than America.
Oh.
And it's like, it's not just funny, but he's a good speaker. And there's a lot of times where what he's saying isn't even funny. It's just like, holy shit, you're making a lot of sense right now. Mm-hmm. So anyway, you should. It's an hour and 20 minutes. You should watch it
on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, and there's one after that. I don't remember what it's called.
You're talking about Freedom.
I'm talking about Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the one after that's really good too.
Yeah.
So I love him.
Cool.
So all right, I got a voicemail for us.
All right.
It's a voicemail about the Proust Questionnaire, which we'll start after this.
What's up, DXPs? This is Big Al from North Carolina. I was listening to your last podcast when you were doing the Proust Questionnaire Part 3. I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed that neither of you chose to come back as either Jesus or someone like Hugh Hefner, who just got mad tail all day. Anyways, so I'd say that. Big push out.
So I'm not gonna come back as Jesus. That sounds awful.
Yeah, like
he didn't,
cool. I got to get fucking tortured.
He didn't get enough to eat. He lived to be like 33. If I had to come back at that time, I might come back as like John the Apostle, because he was like taking acid on an island of Patmos.
Yeah, dude.
Like when he was 90 years old.
The guy was eating ayahuasca plants and like tripping balls, dude.
Yeah,
you read Revelation? That's a motherfucking like acid trip.
But I'm not gonna come back as That'd be fun to read the Book of Revelation on acid, or see a movie based on the Book of Revelation or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
or just watch Left Behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to come back as Jesus. That sounds horrible.
So there was a question about if you could come back as somebody.
Were you not listening?
Yeah, but I don't remember the question.
Oh, yeah, if you could come back as any person or thing.
What did I say? What did you say? I have no memory of any of this.
I think I was probably Paul McCartney.
Oh.
Or one of the Beatles.
Yeah.
You don't remember what you said?
No. No, I don't.
But Hugh Hefner, I have to admit, that would be a pretty good one to come back as. I mean, he lived to be like 80 something, right?
Yeah, that guy was a baller.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was good looking. He did a lot for minority rights and LGBTQ rights, and you know.
Yeah, and he was also the head of Playboy with a mansion.
Oh, really? Oh, I was thinking more about, you know, minority rights and everything.
Yeah. Well, the articles were good, but there's also if you keep flipping in the magazine, there's also pictures of like boobs.
The articles actually were really good.
Yeah.
But he made a lot of people rich. Look at it that way. Created a lot of jobs. He's a job creator.
Yeah, like he created jobs for like hot women. Like here, you have a job now. It's to take off all your clothes whenever I want.
Isn't it weird though? He's dead now and I'm alive. So in a way, I win.
How do you win? What do you mean?
I'm alive and he's dead.
Right.
That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen to everybody though, right?
Yeah.
You ever think about that? Like, I think about being old and sitting there and seeing some young kids hoverboard around or something, and I'm on a park bench and I'm thinking I'm gonna die in the next 5 or 10 years, and just watching them and thinking, yeah, they right now are just thinking they win no matter what, because I'm gonna be dead in 10 years and they're gonna have 40 years of life left.
That's why I want the world to go to shit, so that people envy me.
You want it to be like the road.
Yeah, I want it to be like everything goes south when I'm like 68.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like climate catastrophe just makes like life unbearable, or whatever. How fascism spreads and people are like dying on being hanged in the streets or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yeah, fuck you, young people. Like I got to live like 68 years of my life before the event that changed everything.
You want to know
Although I think the event that changed everything already happened, and that was the election of Donald Trump.
Well,
or if the re-election of Donald Trump happens, that will be the event that spells the end of humanity as we know it.
I'm choosing to believe what Dax Shepard's co-host of the Armchair Expert believes, Monica, which is, well, actually, it's her dad's theory, which is that we're all in a simulation. I like that.
Yeah, like aliens are. We're a reality show for aliens.
Right.
It's like, oh, let's put some people in there, and let's fucking put some, like, here's the coronavirus, and like here's like virtual reality.
Dude, how scared would you be right now if we were going on a cruise next week? Have you been reading about all the cruises that, like, one passenger gets on, they've got the coronavirus, and the ship can't dock anywhere, and people, it's like spreading
Sounds
like crazy.
amazing.
It's happening constantly, like around the world right now.
But imagine being on a cruise ship where you're like, oh, we're sorry, we just have to like float out here in the Caribbean for the next month. But hey, we got free tacos.
But I think they're all
the taco bar.
I think they're all confined to their rooms and stuff, and have to wear masks, and they're like not out just dancing.
Everyone's out.
They're not at the casino.
They're just raving.
Yeah. Like the people are terrified. They're just sitting in their rooms and afraid to go on the decks and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I read some news article that was saying that there's some business or some company that believes that coronavirus is being spread through the pipes.
I think it's being spread because Asians don't cover their mouth when they
Asians,
cough.
it's Asians' fault. What?
It's true.
What do you know? What the death percentage is? I don't know how you say it on coronavirus. Guess like all the big deal it is and everything. What's the percentage of people who die out of 100% from the coronavirus?
Like people who get it versus like for every 100 people who get it, how many of them die?
Yeah,
3.
It's 2.9%, so it's pretty good.
That's why I don't worry about shit. Like Patrick at work, this guy, he's like this survivalist.
Yeah.
Like he was talking with my supervisor yesterday about like the zombie apocalypse and like having a bunker and like
the zombie apocalypse.
It's like he's the guy. I'm like, yeah, dude, Patrick, you're the guy who's like, it's happening. Like it has begun.
Is he
like,
the person you would find? Would you go find him if it did happen? If the zombies showed up, would you go to Patrick's house?
Yeah, because he has his bunker under the ground. It's like this is what we trained for. But I don't know. I just like he's like, how do you worry about this coronavirus? I'm like, no, I'm not. I will fucking drink out of a can after somebody drank out of it. I don't give a shit. Like I don't know. People who like,
well, you have a 1 in 33.
People
and
who
a
wash
third
their
chance.
hands in a public restroom and then use the paper towel to open the door.
Yeah, I do that.
It's like, what? Look at you. You're a fucking mess. You've been doing that your whole life, and look at you. You're like at death's door constantly.
I would like to see you survive all the stuff I've survived.
I wouldn't have to. No, but it's like I don't know. It's like
someday I'm going to be 80 and super healthy, and you're just going to be like a decrepit old man.
Here's the interesting thing though, like about this topic, and like it kind of delves into vaccines and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, aren't we supposed to develop immunity to things by exposure?
Yeah.
As opposed to taking antibiotics constantly for every little infection.
Yeah, well, I don't take antibiotics hardly ever unless I'm absolutely, you have to take antibiotics for this.
Yeah, but people are like going to the doctor all the time and calling out of work because they've got a cold, or, it's constantly putting like Purell on their hand. Like, oh, I'm going to rub a bunch of fucking chemicals on my hands to keep healthy.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I think you're supposed to just like like chicken pox and things like we used to have as kids. Like you get that and then you develop.
Well, they have vaccines for it now.
I know.
For chickenpox.
Yeah, but I'm saying, are we supposed to just vaccinate ourselves against every single thing? Or are we supposed to like, oh yeah, this is a normal part of human development, is like you get exposed to something.
Some people die, some don't. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
Normal human development.
Yeah. Evolution.
Yeah.
Plus, I wouldn't mind thinning out the herd a little bit.
Right. I was going to say, not to, talk about how thin I am right now, but my knees haven't been hurting. I can't remember the last time my knees hurt. Well, I can. It was like December. But my knees have just stopped hurting completely. And I can't help but wonder if it's because I weigh 30 pounds less right now. I weigh 31 pounds less than I did 4 months ago, or 4.5 months ago. And so I can't help but wonder if like that extra added weight just caused my knees to hurt all the time.
Yeah. Well, I remember.
I'm sure they still have problems, and they're still, if I like jumped, I'd be hurting. But like they used to just hurt all the time. I'd walk, just a normal amount around the house. And at the end of the day, my knees hurt. And they haven't hurt in months.
If you worked a shift at the casino as a valet.
Oh, they'd hurt. I'd hurt the next day. I mean, that would be no matter what. I would hurt that amount of steps and stuff. But like we walked all around Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta, and during that time, not once did they ever hurt me.
That's cool.
The other thing is that I hated putting shoes and socks on. Like I just wanted to wear flip-flops or slippers everywhere. And nowadays I'm like, oh, I'm just going to throw my socks and shoes on because I don't have this huge gut that hurts.
Right.
And I just wanted to we've talked about this before. You just get used to it. You just get used to everything hurts. And it's because I'm old and like I can't pull my socks on. Because now I'm like, yeah, I put my socks on with both hands. There was a while where I was like, one hand, I'm like trying to like pull it. And now I'm just like, dude.
You've got some grabber tool.
Yeah.
It's like a shoehorn, but for socks.
No, I still have a shoehorn. I love the shoehorn. Oh. The shoehorn helps with the back of the heel thing, But no, like I'm like all about putting on shoes and going out and stuff. Well, I'm wearing shoes right now in the house. When was the last time you saw me wearing shoes in the house?
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah, I'm wearing jeans and shoes. Normally I'd be in sweats and flip-flops on a night like tonight, but I'm just so used to like, okay, I'm just going to put shoes on now.
Yeah, look at you. You're a transformed man. Where you're like a spring chicken putting on shoes like a fucking boss. Well, when I lost a bunch of weight, one thing I noticed was that one thing Janie also noticed.
Are you going to lose weight again, or are you just going to stay like that?
Fucking amazing, dude. What are you talking about? No, the snoring.
Oh,
like
that changed.
I don't really snore anymore, and I think a lot of it was because I, like you've recently done a couple years ago, I lost quite a bit of weight.
Yeah,
and I
just a little bit less than me, but quite a bit still. Yeah.
Okay, you keep chasing your dream.
Now it's my goal.
Your dream right here. You keep chasing this.
I'm 3 fucking pounds away. It's my goal now. I think that's just my whole goal right now.
But you realize that even if you achieve that goal, I'm gonna lie about what I weigh. You can't tell how much you weigh. Like I used to work with a guy, Matt.
Yeah.
And no matter how much he'd be like, hey, how much money you made tonight so far? I'm like, oh, I'm like at 120. He's like, oh, cool, I'm at like 121.
Matt Coin?
No, not Matt Coin.
That's what he would do.
Yeah, but it's like, and no matter what I would say I had, he would just say he had a little bit more. Yeah.
And my blood pressure before I had my wrist surgery 12 days ago, 117/80.
That's good.
No blood pressure medication.
Yeah, see, I haven't taken my blood pressure in a while.
Part of it's probably that I only drink when I'm hanging out with you mostly.
Yeah. And is that why you're kind of more boring now than you used to be?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just.
I'm bored with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I'm hanging out with fucking Pete Buttigieg.
I used to think I was funny, and now it's like I'm like, oh, you're actually not funny at all. And you
hang-
weren't funny before. You only thought you were funny because you were drunk.
Yeah, you're just like a Mormon now.
Well, I was pretty down the other day, and somebody said, "Did you just smoke a bunch of weed tonight?" And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll smoke a bunch of weed because I haven't smoked any. I had a little piece of an edible once in the last 6 months, and that was the night
At
this
the DXP
happened.
event, yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't like had any weed in forever, but then I was like, no, because then I'm gonna get super hungry. I'm gonna eat a bunch of crap.
See,
I'm gonna wake up with 12 granola bar wrappers on the floor next to my bed.
I don't know if obviously that's not a myth because everyone experiences it, but it's like I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't think everybody does. But there are people who, when they get high, they get the munchies, and I'm one of them.
See, I don't.
I would get high more if I didn't get the munchies.
Yeah, well, I get high like. I smoke
Every day.
I smoke.
Twice a
I
day.
smoke a little weed every night.
Once in the morning, once at night.
Not in the morning, but I smoke a
No,
little weed at night.
I was quoting the song.
I smoke 2 joints in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 more at night.
But I don't have a lot of snacks. Like my house, the nice thing about my house is like I have there's like a bag of almonds.
Well, see, my house has a lot of.
You have kids living in your house, so
Yeah,
I don't have
yes.
a bunch of like sugary snacks
But-
and like gummy bears.
But I cook a lot, so I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of snacks. So my thought has been lately, if I do want to get a little high, is to just set out snacks, because you always think you eat more than you actually do when you're high because you're just snacking. But if I put out some like nuts and some lentil soup and something else, because everything once you start eating it tastes amazing. Then it's like I could probably like eat all night and eat 800 calories. If I eat the right things. So. Popcorn, those bags of popcorn I have, those are 100 calories each. I can have like 10 of those.
Did you notice in the movie I Origins, the little Indian girl's favorite food was strawberries, and Sophie's favorite food was strawberry Mentos?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that. You noticed a lot from that movie.
Oh, because I'm like I never watch anything when I'm not drinking or
Yeah.
So, but I watched this at like 3 p.m. So I'm
Yeah.
like sitting there watching something.
You're
I'm like,
realizing all this stuff.
It's amazing how much stuff you see
Yeah.
when you're not like
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to remember. Was our last question on the Proust Questionnaire, and we're going to take a break in a second here, but was the last question, what is your most treasured possession? Or was it, where would you most like to live?
See, I remember that one. I don't remember the treasure possession one.
Yeah, I don't remember the most treasured possession either, or actually answering it. I don't know what my answer would be.
I have no idea what my answer
now.
would be.
Okay, well, let's take a break.
Okay.
We're like 43 minutes in. We'll take a break. We'll think about what our most treasured possession is, and we'll come back and do more of the Proust Questionnaire.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep. You ready to get your Proust on?
Welcome back.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome back to you.
It's been like an hour. We took a break an hour ago, and we're upstairs just talking.
Yeah, Chloe came home, hanging with Radley, making some drinks,
Yeah.
shooting the shit.
Eating some nuts. Just nibbling on some nuts.
Yeah, you had like
I had nuts in my mouth.
800 calories of nuts up there.
Yep.
I watched what you poured in there. I'm like, that's 180 times 3. That's like 540 calories of nuts. And then you put some peanuts on it. And I'm like, oh, that's peanuts. That's going to be like 170 calories and it's 2 ounces.
And yet, still, given all that, you see what you see before you.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense now why you're fatter than me.
I'm going to let that go.
But you didn't. All right. Question 22 of the Proust Questionnaire. What is your most treasured possession? Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. I have two things I would say for this, actually. The first one is that when I was born, my grandmother gave me a teddy bear, and I have that teddy bear in my closet. And I think that's just that's amazing. It's been like had the ear sewed back on. It's been vomited on by me when I was a kid.
Gross.
It's like I've had it my entire life. I still have it, and now I know at this point I will have it for my entire life. You know, there's no way when I'm 47 that I'm gonna all of a sudden like leave this thing somewhere.
Well, especially since you've lived already like 98% of the life you've got.
Right. So
like
chances are I'll survive the rest of my life.
Yeah, if you have it for another couple months, I'd say you've had it for your whole life.
Right. I just think that's like, and when I was a little kid, of course, it meant a lot to me. Right. I don't sleep with it anymore. I stopped out a few years ago, but like, you know, it meant a ton to me when I was a little child. And so to have something that was that important to me as a kid, and it was in storage for a long time, but to resurface and still have it and all that, it's got to be one of my most treasured possessions. The other one is my it's actually my adopted grandfather. He adopted my mom when she was a kid.
I've already lost track.
Yeah. When she was like 4 or 5, I think he adopted my mom's mom married him, got divorced, married him. And at that time,
because your mom's mom is probably like 12 years older than your mom.
Well, she's been
because of the way your family
she's
works.
Been dead for 15 years or so, I think. She's the one who gave me the teddy bear that I was talking about. But at that time, it was more common when you got divorced and married somebody else to be adopted by that sibling, if it was a dad, you know. So he adopted my mom. So she's always called him grandpa. He's been more of a grandpa or a dad to my mom, and more of a grandpa to me than her actual biological father was, who I knew and loved also, but I just didn't know him as well. So Granddad Bob is his name. He has no.
What's his fucking name?
Granddad Bob is what we called him. We still call him Granddad Bob.
Oh, Bob?
Oh, Bob, yeah, Granddad Bob. His name is Bob Kuna, Granddad Bob. He lives in Oklahoma, in Kingfisher, Oklahoma.
What's the O? Is he like Irish?
I don't know.
Like
I don't know where it came from.
Darby O'Gill?
I have no idea where it came from. Granddad Bob, though. And he had no fingers on one of his hands. So his fingers were cut off at the bottom knuckles, just right under there. So he could just barely.
Did he lose it in like some frostbite incident?
He was in the military, and you know those big wooden spools with the huge wires?
Yeah.
He was loading one into the thing, and his fingers got crushed as the wires went through. So, yeah. I thought about that because of my left arm and what a pain in the ass this is constantly. Like having, like, what, how would I feel if I had just had this for the rest of my life? Because I'm like 2 more weeks of this, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And he just had no fingers on one of his hands for his whole life.
Yeah.
But every time he would
That's why I'm against the military.
Right. Every time he would come visit us in Garden Grove, he would bring me silver dollars and half dollars. Mm-hmm. And I still have every single one of them that he brought me. And it's like 50 or 60 of them. And
you should just buy something with that shit.
Yeah, I know. I should take them all to the store and buy like a pair of shorts from Pacific Sunwear or something, or PacSun.
Buy a glove that has all the fingers. Come full circle.
Right. So anyway, those would probably be my most prized possessions, other than photo albums and stuff. I don't really care much about other stuff, you know. If somebody stole my car, I'd be like, good, I'm like $20,000 underwater on it. Perfect. You know, nothing else matters to me that much.
Yeah. Huh.
What about you?
I don't know. Like I mean, nothing I can think of. It has
probably one of the posters I gave you for like Christmas, your birthday or something.
Yeah. Next question. I don't know. I don't think anything I can say is going to be particularly like poignant like that.
It doesn't. It has to be your just most treasured possession. You have one that's the most. Which one is it?
I mean, when you first asked the question, I was thinking like my library. Mm-hmm. You know, because I mean,
you sold off for filthy lucre a few years ago when you stopped being a minister.
I did sell about 75% of my books, but I still have about. Well, I've got, I guess 12 feet of, bookcases because they're 2 feet. I have 6 of them. They're 2 feet, wide. Yeah, and they're full. But I used to have 24, and they're like double stacked. Yeah. I don't know. Like,
Those are all replaceable though for the most part, right?
yeah, there's a bunch of videos of my kids when they were young that like my old wife would like take video of like Fiona being crazy or the kids talking about their day. Like, what'd you and Daddy do when you went on
You
your
could just
date?
say she would take video of Fiona. You don't have to say she would take her video of her being crazy.
Right,
It's
because
like
yeah.
they're both one and the same.
Yeah. But it's like those, but I don't actually I don't possess those. Those files exist on a laptop that is at their house.
Right.
Which I always like to watch. Like sometimes we're over there, I'm like, hey, let's watch some of those old videos.
Yeah.
But they're not like, it's not like something I have that I can hold in my hand.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a whole box of videotapes from me in high school that are all like soccer and volleyball videos. When I was playing sports, my mom would record me. And I'm worried that they are ruined because I think those videotapes, VHS, have a shelf life of like 15 or 20 years max. And they're 30 years old now. So I'm a little bit worried. For like a decade, I've been meaning to send them to like one of those services that'll digitize them for you, But
can't you just take them to like Kinko's or something?
I don't know. Can you?
I don't know. Seems like you should.
If you can, I would probably do that faster than I would mail them in.
I might say the journals I kept when I was living in Europe, and
Yeah, I remember reading those when you were asleep.
yeah, those
Our
might-
letters, dude. How are our letters to each other not our most prized possessions?
Yeah, those kind of fall in the same category.
Yeah.
Like old, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Old, preserved writings.
Did you get anything of Kayeth's when he died?
I have a bunch of his letters to me.
Letters.
Mhm.
I have some of his clothing, and I'll never let that stuff go.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few T-shirts and a suit, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's
right.
my answer.
All right. Next one is to you first. What do you regard as the lowest depth of misery?
That I've experienced?
No.
Oh, just in
Did
general?
I say that you've experienced? No. I asked the whole question.
Okay.
What do you regard as the lowest depth of misery?
Having your arms and legs chopped off and becoming blind, deaf, and mute? That would be pretty bad.
Okay, let's
While we're if it's not got nothing to do with anything I've experienced, then that'd be it.
let's frame it in the context of an emotion. What's the lowest depth of misery that is an emotion? It might be the emotion that comes from.
It's when I
having your-
open the dishwasher to put a dirty dish in it, and it's full of clean dishes, and I have to be like, fuck. All I wanted to do was clean up my dishes from lunch, and now I've just got 30 minutes of work to do.
right.
I don't think there is a human emotion that's more miserable than what
Because you hate emptying the dishwasher that much.
I have an irrational hatred of it. Because certain things you just irrationally hate.
Yeah.
And for me, or it's like when...
For me, it's cleaning the toilet.
Like last night, when I go to use HBO Go or Hulu and it's logged me out and I got to log back in, I just lose my shit.
Yeah,
I thought Janie was just going to leave me.
My irrational
Last night, 'cause
fear is that my best friend Jason, who uses my HBO Go and my Hulu, is going to write me and ask what the fucking password is.
See, no, I have your HBO Go login information on my phone,
Yeah.
but Hulu I don't.
Yeah.
And I memorized your Hulu. I only use your. I have my own Hulu, but I switched to yours
To watch
during
Lakers games.
during Lakers season. And then yesterday I go to watch Parks and Rec with Janie, and it's logged out, and I know the login, and so and plus on a mobile device or on a Apple TV, it's like takes forever because you're like typing in your email address, like clicking around the keyboard on the screen.
Yeah.
It takes so long,
Yeah.
and then it's wrong. And I go upstairs and check. I have a Word document with all my password information for everything.
All of my password information.
It's not on there.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, that's the lowest despair that they're for the human in the human
The lowest
experience.
depth of misery.
Yeah. No, I mean I don't know that's not a real answer, I guess.
Yeah. I would say
Financial fear
Okay.
is a big fear.
Financial fear is not the worst for me because here's why. Let's say we were talking about this today. Let's say I lost my job and I couldn't afford the house and I couldn't make my car payment and all that stuff. If that happened to you, let's say you and Janie broke up and you couldn't afford to live. What would you do?
What I do?
Yeah, what would you do? If let's say you had not enough money to survive and make your car payment and afford to rent at the same time, and you and Janie broke up, what would you do? Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'd live in this room.
Yeah, you would live here, or you'd live wherever there's a room in the house, right?
Yeah.
And I know that I have enough friends that could happen to me too. So that's not to me, that's not the worst thing that could happen, because I know that if I lost everything somehow and couldn't afford my mortgage, I could stay at your house or Phil and Stephanie's house, or somebody around here would give me a place to stay, and let me work my way back up, right?
Or you just stay there for the rest of your life,
Stay where?
wherever you end up.
Like at your house?
Like, let's say Janie died,
Yeah.
and
Or I moved into your house because I had nothing, and you and I killed Janie, and then we had that house.
oh my god, no, but like,
Just kidding, Janie.
if I could, like, no, if I don't know, it would be very tempting to be like, I live here now.
Right.
I'm just gonna pursue my creative like endeavors.
Right.
I don't have to pay rent. This is perfect.
Well, hold on, because the concept is not that
Fuck you! I'm not paying rent.
the concept is not that you don't have to pay rent, but that it's cheaper to live here, right? Like, it wouldn't be that I wouldn't move into yours and Janie's place and be like, I don't have to pay anything. I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm flipping burgers, I'm valet parking cars at the casino. I can only pay a third of whatever your mortgage is.
Like, if something happened where I had to move in here,
Yeah.
I would just immediately quit my job. I'd be like, oh, I live here now. I'm gonna quit my job and just like hang out. Just, you know.
you always have a place to live with me, especially now that I built this room. Right.
While we're on the subject, I'm gonna need you to knock this wall out and make it a little bit bigger because I feel a bit claustrophobic in here.
To me, are the worst despair, what is it, lowest depth of misery, are things that you can't fix with money. So it would have to be like purposelessness, emptiness, loneliness, despair. And it has to probably be despair, because loneliness, if you have hope it gets better, it is not the worst. Same with purposelessness. If you can have hope that it'll get better, it's not the worst. But despair, that loneliness will never get better, that purposelessness will never get better, that emptiness will never get better, that despair has to be the lowest depth of misery to me. Just thinking that whatever is bothering me right now will never get better. That's why old age bothers me, because I was talking to my mom. My mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's on Saturday.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And
Is she shaking?
she's not shaking. I think the shaking might be from medication, though, isn't it? You shake from the medication?
No, I thought Parkinson's means you're just jerking around.
I don't know. But she hasn't been feeling very well. She's 70. She hasn't been feeling very well. But she was a little bit relieved, because now I have a diagnosis. Now they can give me some medication that might make me feel a little bit better. And that's when she mentioned I might have the shakes from it or whatever. I thought that just made me think it was maybe from the medication. But I was talking to her, and I'm like, yeah, because you're saying getting old sucks, and I'm like, yeah, because there's gonna come a point, like my knees feel pretty good right now. There's gonna come a point where no matter how thin I am, my knees are gonna hurt because I'm just old. There's gonna come a point where my knees are never gonna feel good again. My joints are never gonna feel good again, and my mind's gonna start deteriorating, and that's the point where it's just all you have is despair that nothing's ever gonna feel good again. And so to me, I equate that with old age. As things get worse and worse, as you deteriorate, you just like there's no good days anymore. Like, I've played my last game of soccer. I played my last game of volleyball. I've possibly sprinted for the last time. It's kind of despairing a little bit. It's getting the worst.
That's kind of bad, but I feel like the dishwasher thing's a bit worse. I'm sticking with my answer.
Okay. All right.
Next.
All right. So this one's to me. It's question 24. What is your favorite occupation? I have to say my favorite occupation.
Like what kind of question is that? Like, in general, of all the occupations?
Yeah. What is your favorite occupation?
but not one that you've had. Just
No.
any of all of them possible.
Yeah, if you could do anything, what would you want to do?
Like adult film star. You know?
Have you watched the series on Netflix called After Porn Ends?
I think I watched one of them. There's like
I'm surprised you haven't watched it because there's a lot of porn in it. There's a lot of nudity in it.
Huh.
But it's following these adult film stars and what their life is like after they're not doing porn anymore. And they're all over the spectrum, from somebody who's like, I loved it. It was great. It was the best time of my life.
It's
I
funny.
miss it.
I bet you anything. It's like the women are like, yeah, like it was horrible and I didn't want to do it.
No.
And now I can't. Whereas the men are like, it was amazing. And now,
Right.
now I'm the manager of a Blockbuster video or whatever.
No, it's all over the place. And there are women who will say, like, it was the best time of my life. I loved it. I made all these friends. We're still friends. You know, I'm super sexual. It was great. And you have other women who are now religious going, I look back on that time and cringe. And, like, it was so male dominated and awful and everything. People had different experiences, male and female, throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's a really interesting series. So that's your favorite occupation?
Well, you go first.
I'm going first. Okay. I think my favorite occupation, if I was good at it and could make a good living at it, would be acting. I think acting would just be the funnest thing ever. Like, not even being famous, but if I could go make a living out of acting at village theaters, like around the country, I think I would do it. Like, that just, like, entertaining people by playing a character seems like the funnest thing to me. But that's hard to do. And my second favorite would be writer. You know, and writer to me, if I could write things that were good and make an occupation of it, would probably be. You get to obviously there's such extreme occupations. Because one is you're going to a theater and practicing and rehearsing and being around people and then performing in front of other people. And then one occupation is you're at home alone or out in some cabin somewhere, like writing on your own, not talking to anybody, you know, unless you're a journalist or whatever. But one of those two, actor or writer. What about you? What's your favorite occupation?
Okay, joking aside.
I thought this whole thing was joking aside.
Well, I mean, the porn star thing was a joke, you know?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm kidding around. I mean, if I'm going to be famous for something, I don't think I'd want it to be for acting as much as I'd want it to be for writing. But not writing like I write screenplays. Or,
Why not screenplays?
Because I want to write books. And
You would not have want to have written Good Will Hunting or something like that?
Sure. But see, here's the problem, and we touched on this in an earlier Proust installment, where, like, I would have loved to have lived in a time where the rock stars of the day, like were people like Ernest Hemingway and Scott Fitzgerald or J.D. Salinger, or these writers that I admire. They lived at a time when it was like, you know, they were gods, you know?
Yeah.
But nobody reads books now. So the probably the most famous, other than Stephen King or somebody who's written 75 novels or whatever, he's written 100 novels, like probably the most well-known, respected novelist of our day who's relatively young is like Jonathan Franzen.
Yeah.
And like 95% of people don't know who he is.
Yeah.
You know? But he's like,
Probably more than that.
Yeah, if there is somebody today who's like, you know, the kind of guy who'd be on the cover of Time magazine, which I think he was, or he was on the cover of some big either Newsweek or Time.
Steve King?
No,
Stephen King?
Jonathan Franzen.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like we don't live in that day anymore. We live in a day where it's like fucking Kendall Jenner is a goddess now because she takes pictures of her ass. And puts them on Instagram.
It's a pretty nice ass, though.
I get her confused with Kylie. I forget. I always forget which one I like, but there's one of them I like better, but I don't remember which one. I don't know who's who. And I don't give a shit because they're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
I can't stand like stupid celebrity culture now.
Yeah.
So we don't live in a day anymore where you can be famous for doing anything good. We live in a day where you're famous for like looking hot and like making duck lips and taking pictures of yourself and putting them on the internet.
Right.
I would say either stand-up comedy or being a singer-songwriter.
Oh, stand-up comedy. That's a good one.
I think about Damien Rice. Like there's a particular Damien Rice YouTube show that's shot in it's somewhere in Europe. I forget where. It's in some little coffee house, and it's all shot with a single, like probably an iPhone, And so it's like there's no cuts because there's only one camera, and it's on him. Then it'll pan around the crowd. It's a tiny little coffee house, and it's an amazing show. And it's like, yeah, like in that moment, I think he's the coolest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Or a kind of more electronic band like Massive Attack or Radiohead or something where it's like that. Yeah, those guys are pretty.
Comedian, I think, would be amazing if you're the type of comedian I like, which is the Jim Jeffries, Ricky Gervais type of comedian who tells stories. Mm-hmm. I think those guys are just.
It's funny though watching that show Crashing.
Yeah,
because there are scenes where like
I haven't seen the last season.
Dude, it's so good. But there are scenes where like Pete Holmes, the guy who created the show and who it's based on him, his name is Pete Holmes in the show and in real life,
Yeah.
And he's talking with like established comedians who are playing themselves, and they're like, "What's your goal?" He's like, "What are you talking about? This is my goal." And they're like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I want to be one of you. I want to be a comic. I want to be in the scene. I want to be in the loop. I want to be on the circuit. I want to travel around and do shows." And they're all, and these older like Artie Lang and Bill Burr and all these established comics are looking at him going like, "You're fucking insane. Like this is the worst life ever. Like
Right.
your goal should be you become Jerry Seinfeld, write a show, make millions of dollars or something."
Yeah.
And his whole thing is like, "No, I just want to. This is I'm living my dream." And they're just
Right.
like, "Good Lord, what the hell's the matter with you? Are you some
Right.
sort of masochist?"
Right.
But I think being like a Bill Burr, Anthony Jeselnik level comedian
Yeah.
would be pretty awesome, or being a Damien Rice, Sam Beam.
So if you had to
level
choose to,
good singer songwriter.
if you could choose to be one comedian, it would be Anthony Jeselnik over Jim Jeffries or Ricky Gervais.
Yes.
Really?
I mean, Ricky Gervais is different because Ricky Gervais is both a stand-up comic and a director, producer, writer.
Yeah.
Whereas like somebody like Tina Fey is just the latter, but she doesn't do stand-up. Or
Right.
Lena Dunham, doesn't do stand-up.
I just love the storytelling type of comedy, but so much more than I can't watch a whole Anthony Jeselnik special.
Really?
Whereas I can't stop watching a whole Jim Jeffries special.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I like the jokes. I think they're funny. I like to hear them here and there randomly.
Mm-hmm.
But listening to an hour of them is just for me is like, oh my god. Like okay, I get your formula. It's very formulaic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny, but it's not funny for an hour to me.
But there's I feel that way about like I was recently watching a Louis C.K. special, one of the older ones, and it was like he's telling this story that I have no doubt is real. Some story about he's taking a shit and his child who's 4, she like comes in and she like bends over and poops on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
And it was like. I'm going, this is for sure a real story.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this isn't really that funny. Like, it's funny, I guess, kind of, but it's not like laugh out loud funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the story that it was to me a limitation on the storytelling variety.
That's funny because
of stand-up
I
comedy.
think it's funnier when the story has some truth in it.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't like a story with
Yeah,
truth
no,
in it.
no.
I'm saying this particular story is like,
No,
it's
I'm
a
just saying I
story-
think it's funnier than a story that has no truth to it, like Anthony Jeselnik's jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Like his stories have no truth to it.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't really think that about his brother, or whatever.
When he
it is
says, like, my
says.
neighbor has this kid who's climbing a tree on his property, falls out of the tree, lands on my fence. Now, I'm told I got to get a lawyer if I want to keep my half of the kid.
Right.
There's no truth to that.
Like it's funny, but I think that stories are funnier when I know that this is partly true. Like at the end of This Is Me Now, Jim Jeffries' most recent comedy special, he's telling a story about how he was invited to do comedy at Mariah Carey's house, and Leonardo DiCaprio was there, and
Sharpton.
Al Pacino,
Yankovic? Oh.
Al Pacino, and Warren Beatty, and all these people were there, and it's just this hilarious, and Eddie Murphy, and it's a hilarious story because this all like happened, but he's embellishing it to make it funny, you know. I like that better. It's just like a movie where it's like it's based on a true story, and I'm like that makes the movie so much better knowing that some of this actually happened, like Narcos.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. What is your most marked or marked characteristic? What do people say about you? Like a characteristic, I'm thinking it's your character, right? It's not how you look or anything. It's your character, how you act or whatever. What's your most marked? When they say marked there, what's your most marked?
I would probably go that way, yeah.
Yeah, characteristic.
I mean, obviously, I don't know what people say about me when I'm not around.
I know.
I know what I would like it to be.
I know what I say about you when you're not around.
I mean...
It's hard. Like, one is what do you want it to be and what is it, right? I don't know what it is. I know what I hope it is, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think, like, I was talking to Janie about this the other day about, like, you know, because tomorrow will be my full year at the casino. Because tomorrow's my father's birthday. And I just remember because we went on that cruise from the 10th, my birthday of February, to the 17th. Yeah. And then I started work at the casino on the 19th, which is my dad's birthday. So
the
tomorrow,
day before Hitler's birthday.
Oh, his is the 20th?
I think so. It might be 421. 421.
Oh, dude, what if he's 420?
Or no, it's not 420. It's 220.
Dude.
Wait, hold on. No, Hitler's birthday is 420 or 421 or something like that.
What if the whole weed thing is just like a celebration of Hitler? But I was talking about, like, how will the people who know me at work talk about me? Because I hear people who I work with now talking about people who used to work there. Like, oh, yeah, do you know Steve? Oh, he was so cool. He was like this, or this guy used to work here. He was like that. And it's like, I would like to think, and I have relatively decent reason to think that people will say, oh, you know, he was...
He complained a lot.
That's one of them. In fact, Matt, the guy I've talked about earlier on the show, he does this horrible Australian accent. He tries to do an impression of Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter.
Yeah.
You know? And the other day he was doing it, and I'm like, dude, that is the fucking worst Australian accent I've ever heard.
It's funny because I was watching The Good Place earlier, season 3, and Ted Danson is doing a horrible Australian accent, and it's supposed to be horrible in the show. But I'm watching it, I can't help but think, I bet he can't really do an Australian accent. Or he's
actually trying.
And he's actually trying.
Right.
But he knows it's horrible, and so they're just using it. Because his accent is exactly what I would do if I was trying to do an Australian accent.
And it's not an easy accent to do if you don't know how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
But Matt will do this. Like, the other day, he's like, I go, that's the fucking worst Australian accent I've ever heard. He's like, it's an impression, not an accent. And I'm like, yeah, it's an impression.
He's the one that does the "We're in the wild." Jason.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm about to say. Like, but I'm like, yeah, it's an impression of a retarded kid trying to do an Australian accent.
Yeah.
But he'll do this thing where he's like, "There's Jason. He's about to start complaining about something. What's it gonna be? What's gonna set him off this time? You know."
Yeah. It's not fair, by the way, because your mom's
a Kiwi,
full New Zealander.
True. But I would like to think that they would say that he was funny, and he was smart, and he was thoughtful.
Yeah.
And I am those things, and
you are funny and smart, totally.
But I'm also thoughtful.
I'm just kidding.
No, I am.
I was kidding.
Okay.
I know. I was making a joke.
Like, I will deliberately, like, if let's say Patrick and I get keys at the same time, but he's ahead of me on the list. Yeah. And so we were driving up the hill to park a car and then bring a car down for a guest. Yeah. And whoever comes down first gets their name on the list first. But I'll sit in my, if I just happen to have a better, like, my car is located in A18 and his is located in B30. Yeah. Then it's impossible for me not to lap him. Yeah. But I'll either wait for him to go first, or if I go first, I'll just put his name up first before mine. Yeah. Stuff like that. I do that kind of thing all the time. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so I would like to think, and who knows if I'm deluding myself, but I'd like to think that people would say that, yeah, he's smart and funny, but he's thoughtful. Yeah. He thinks about how other people take stuff, and he thinks about how, he goes out of his way to say thank you or to bring keys to somebody if they get them, rather than just hanging on the hook and like make, it's like stuff like that. Like
I agree with
I
that.
try to do those things.
I agree with that. I'm with you on that.
Okay, I would like to think that
would
people
say,
will recognize that. I know some people will say that about me when I'm no longer there.
Yeah.
What about you?
I most likely, one of my favorite speeches is from About Time, one of my favorite movies, and the father is giving the speech to his son who's got married, and he's talking to the wife, Rachel McAdams, and he's saying, he said, when you're around long enough, you hear the same stories, all this stuff runs together, but the best thing you can do is marry somebody who's kind. And that just like always has stuck with me since I saw the movie 8 years ago. And I think, and there's a difference between being kind and being nice, right? Because you can be nice but not be very kind. Mm-hmm. And
kind is like niceness in action.
Yeah, a kind person will be nice, but a nice person is not necessarily kind.
Yeah.
And I think I would want to be thought of or remembered as somebody who was kind. And if I have a second thing to that, I just want to make people laugh. I want people to go like, he was kind and had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like that to me, if somebody said that at my funeral, I would just be like, I made it. I like arrived.
I'll say that at your funeral.
Will you? Whether it's true or not, you'll say it.
Well, first of all,
that's what friends do.
First of all, I'm joking because I'm assuming you're going to die before me. Well, secondly, we have a suicide pact, so it's like I by definition cannot be at your. Neither of us can be at the other's funeral. It'll be a double funeral.
There should be like a.
If you get hit by a car,
yeah,
and I'm still in the prime of my life, it's like, well, fuck. I guess I'm going to kill myself. Right. We have to.
Right.
So we have to have a double funeral.
Somebody else will have to say it about it.
They should bury us in a double wide casket so we get to be together. No, I think that's for sure true of you. I think you're a very kind person. Yeah. Thanks. You're thoughtful. Like, I think you're very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And you put yourself out there and incur personal expense for the sake of other people. Mm. And I think you're better in a way that I don't. Mm-hmm. Like like I think I've said before, like, there's a definite selfishness that I've worked hard since my 20s at shedding, but I don't think that's your native posture.
Yeah.
For me, so if we ever get to the point where we're both equally kind, it will be because I've done a lot of work overcoming my native selfishness, where kindness to you is more, I think, a default.
Well, my fear a little bit, some book we were reading. Oh, it was the Bruce Sanguine book, which I think will actually put his interview out in a couple weeks.
Dismantled?
Yeah. And he is talking about there are some people who are kind because they want to be liked, versus people who are just kind because that's their nature.
Yeah.
And that's my struggle sometimes is like, I know I am kind to most people for the most part, but I struggle a lot with, why am I kind? Is it altruistic or is it because I want them to like me? And that's my only fear from that.
And I do
think
we
get super deep
while we're diagnosing one another, I
right.
do think that you care a lot about how people
yeah.
perceive you and whether they like you.
Yeah, and I've gotten better with that as we've done the podcast because we've had a lot of people not like us.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, all right.
You know, it's interesting. There's a that YouTube documentary From the Sky Down.
Yeah,
about
with Jack White and
no, that's It Might Get Loud.
Oh, okay.
That's Edge, Jack White, and Jimmy Page, which is also good.
Yeah.
This one came out.
We watched it. Some famous director made it.
It was made by his name escapes me at the moment.
I'll figure it out.
It's a German name. Shit, what's his name?
I'll find it. You keep going.
But there's an interesting interview. It's about the making of Achtung Baby in Berlin in like 1991. But there's this interesting line by Brian Eno.
Davis Guggenheim.
Guggenheim, that's right. Brian Eno, who produced Achtung Baby, with Daniel Lanois.
And was in that great album, The Passengers.
Yeah. But he's one of the most famous producers, in musical history. But he has a line in there where he says, he's talking about the band, and he says, they're incredibly kind to one another.
Yeah.
And I think that's true because
it's one of the best characteristics that anybody can have towards anybody.
Yeah.
Like, right? I mean, you could be arrogant or prideful or whatever, but as long as you're kind to people,
Yeah.
they forgive the other stuff.
And they would break up the band before if their friendship jeopardized their career, they would end you too. And they've been saying this for 40 years. Like
Yeah.
this, our friendship precedes, this band. And if this band were to jeopardize our friendship, then we would just end the band.
Right.
So there's the kindness there.
Right.
Yeah. Next
question is, what do you most value in your friends? This is to me first. I'm trying to think of something that you have. What
you have to hit pause. Hit pause.
Can we pause it? Can I have a few minutes?
Sure. You take all the time you need.
Okay. I'm gonna get all teary-eyed here about this because I really actually have something, and you have it in spades, and I don't have it as much as you do.
I have no idea what you're gonna say, and I did not read this question. So I'm on the spot now. I'm feeling like shit. I gotta come up with something poignant.
If you want to see me cry on YouTube, now is the time to do it. It's loyalty, and I do consider myself a loyal person.
Yeah,
but I just know all the time, and I feel guilty because I don't think you know this. I feel like you know this about me 98% of the time, but you kind of have you kind of wonder 22%. Does Christian have my back? But I know with you 100% of the time you have my back.
Yeah.
And there are times where I know that you're frustrated with me and you're talking to Janie and you guys are talking about me and I'm like, but I also feel like I probably deserve it if they're talking about me, but I feel like at least when you talk to me, but if somebody fucks me over, you are never going to be like, well, this is why they fucked you over because you did this. You're going to be like, fuck that guy. Let's go kill him.
Yeah. Let's go
And I think my weakness is I will be like, well, you were kind of a little passive aggressive and that's why they did this. And it's funny because I do value that so much and you're so good at that it just made me realize yeah, well, that's why you and Michael are my two best friends for life because you guys both have my back no matter what. And I'm striving to be that way but I can get frustrated not be that way. I feel like I end up that way. I get there, but you're just immediately have my back. And I value that, I think, in somebody that I'm friends with because I screw up all the time and can be a dick. And I just want to know, I can easily lose friends. And so to have somebody I know I'm loyal to you no matter, even if you're a dick, I know you're going to come out of it at some point, is nice to know. Because we had some pretty bad fights a couple of years ago, you and I. Yeah. And I remember thinking feeling we're both loyal. We can scream and yell all we want and talk this is the end of our friendship, but we're going to end up being friends because we're loyal. And I felt like that because I knew you were loyal. And
I remember that one night where
whatever, a year or two ago, we didn't put out a podcast or whatever because we were fighting so bad.
No, I was thinking a little bit further back where you and I went to Finity's Irish Pub and you stormed out.
I was having a really hard time.
And then I was so pissed off. And so I just fuck this. And I went home. We both lived in the same house.
Yeah. I went out and laid in the trampoline out in the yard.
And I went upstairs and was watching some Radiohead show or something, having a drink. And you're writing me, going I need to come up there. And I'm ignoring you. And then you're writing again, going come on, man, don't do this to me. I'm in the depths of despair here.
I was in the depths of despair.
And I'm oh, fucking hell. And then it's pretty soon you're I'm coming up. And then I'm fine. And then because my door was locked. Yeah. And then you're knocking on it. And then you come in and then we embraced.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I think, I don't know if I would value that as much if it wasn't for you because of the times I've needed you and known that you're going to be loyal no matter what, even if I'm an asshole or a prick or whatever. But that has made me value that because I think you're you are better at that than I am.
That's interesting because when you talk about it that way, I can see it from your perspective.
Yeah.
But if you had just put a gun to my head and with no warning and said, who's more loyal, you or Christian? I'd be like, oh, Christian is.
Really?
I would never have thought, oh, I'm more loyal to him than he is to me. I would never have thought to think that.
No, yeah, you're more loyal than I am.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not something I guess it's not something I think about that much.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I manifest that.
Yeah, you do.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you value in your friends?
I got nothing.
It doesn't have to be me, just your friends in general.
Okay, like all of my friends except you are amazing. I can't even begin. But if you're included, I need some time to think about this.
Yeah.
I guess it's understanding. You know, like, because, and this is about you. There are other people too, but it's like, here's what I've noticed over the last probably 10, 12 years is, because, I mean, you know, I went through a long period of time in my marriage where I was just like suicidal.
Yeah.
You know, suicide level. I mean, I don't think I ever would have killed myself because I have kids.
Sure. But you wouldn't have minded if you got hit by a train.
No, I was very, very down.
Yeah. I've been there.
During which time, by the way, Damian Rice basically shepherded me through my despair. You know, that's one of the reasons I love that man is because the honesty and
maybe I need to listen to him. The only song I know by him is 9 Crimes, which I love. But maybe I should go listen to some of his
It's
music.
not a lot. I mean, he only has 3 studio albums over the course of his 20-year career.
Which one should I listen to? I'm looking for something to listen to right now that I'm not familiar with. So what would you?
His first one.
Oh. I thought I was waiting for something else. You're like, oh. I'm like, oh, what?
That's the one. Blower's Daughter, Cannonball.
Okay.
But here's a lot of his material is like, I mean, for every like one song he puts out that I love, he puts out another that I can't stand.
Okay.
And and his songs are very indulgent in the sense that like it might go on 10 minutes long because it has, but you love movements.
Yeah.
Some of his songs, like I Remember, that Lisa Hannigan sings the first part and he sings the rest, and it starts out this lush, beautiful lullaby.
Yeah, you give me like a what's the Hotel California or
Paranoid Android
or Stairway to Heaven.
Right.
And these songs with movements I just adore.
What I would do, I know you hate watching live music, but watch his solo show in Barcelona.
Okay.
It's a pro shot.
On YouTube?
It's on YouTube. It's easy. It's the first thing will come up. It's, you know, but it plays a bunch of great songs.
I'll put it on tonight when I go to bed.
But there were like certain, I remember like I would be very deliberate about talking to friends about my marital struggles.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was a pastor and I had this veneer that had to be true of this, you know, rock solid, you know.
Sure.
And I couldn't have any chinks in my armor.
There's no reason for that kind of language, but go on.
Slants in my armor. What should I call it?
Right.
I said that Sarah Silverman joke, you know, the one about when she got jury duty.
Yeah.
She's trying to get out of jury duty. She's filling out the thing. It's like, are there any views you hold that may disqualify you? And she's talking to her friend, like, what should I put? Because I don't want to do it. And her friend put like, right, I hate chinks.
Right.
Which, and I thought about it, but it's like I felt horrible about saying something like that because like I love chinks.
Right.
But whenever I would tell somebody, hey, you know, just so you know, like I'm fucking mess on a personal level.
Yeah.
And then like there are some people I told that to that we would talk about it for that conversation, but it wouldn't come up again. You know? And I would regret having told them. Because it's like I talked to this person again 2 weeks later and they would never circle back to it.
Right.
Or take it seriously. Like,
right.
So how you doing with all that? You know? And it always made me feel like regretful about like, I wish I wouldn't have told them that because they
didn't have it's a huge impact on you, but either they didn't understand it or they don't agree with you on it.
And so understanding to me is probably one of the biggest things where it's like, I need to know that I can share something with somebody and they're going to take it seriously, like, oh,
Right.
Jesus, okay, that's like a big deal. Like, okay, let's talk about that.
Right.
I want to come back to that. I want to touch base with you in a couple of days. Like, how you doing with this?
Yeah.
You know, and the people who didn't do that, I just make a mental note, like, okay, well, you're in a different category now, because
Right.
you're not somebody I'm going to talk to about important things, because I presented you with something very, very real and open, and a wound that was very, very, like, you know.
And when you're
acute.
when you're in that type of space, you want somebody who is going to be checking in on you and understanding that you're in a delicate place. Like, you're good at that. If I'm in a delicate place, you'll usually be like,
When does that ever happen?
I know. You'll be like, what's new, or how's it going, or
Yeah.
mi uishag in Hungarian, you know, something to let me know, okay, I at least thought about you and hope you're okay.
Yeah.
Which means a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we should go jack each other off after this.
We should scissor each other.
All right.
Speaking of scissoring, like, am I the only one who just tunes out of the lesbian porn when that scissoring part comes on?
You don't like the scissoring?
No.
I mean, I haven't watched lesbian porn in a long time, but what makes me want to watch it is the women making out and the scissoring. Those are the two things that I'm all about.
To me, I look at the scissoring, and I'd love to hear from the lesbian listeners out there about, because to me, certain things in sex are just for porn.
Right.
Like, you know, certain positions where it's like, okay, the pile driver, whatever.
They're not just for porn.
But it's like, okay,
And if they can scissor and make out at the same time,
how's that even possible? I guess they could. No, to me, it's like scissoring is something that, like, a male porn director came up with and told two women to do it
because it's amazing. That's why.
It's amazing for men, but the women are going like, so what? Yeah, just like, you know, kind of like do this, and they're like,
don't ruin it for me. It feels good for the women. They're like this. These are rubbing against each other, and then their tongues are like this.
okay.
What doesn't feel good about that? I'm sure it feels amazing for them.
It seems to me like it's one of those.
They can also
things-
use one hand and touch the boob of their man. They're touching like all the erogenous zones, basically.
But I would be interested in
Except for the knees.
in a study where it's like you took people who are like sexual, like people who have either are porn stars or are the kind of people who have sex a lot with multiple people, like constantly.
Yeah.
And like, what kind of sex do you have in front of a camera versus the sex you have
Right.
that where no one's ever going to comment on it, like, ooh, that was good.
Right.
It's like, no, it's just lights are off. It's just you in your room and with your partner.
Well, I have some lesbian friends. I'll ask them. I'm curious. Like, do you ever scissor? Is that like a thing?
Yeah, my guess is
Does it
that
feel
like
good?
yeah,
Like is it like the male version of docking?
what's docking?
Watch Jim Jeffries. This Is Me Now. It's a comedy special.
It's that circumcision
He explains
thing?
it in detail.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's disgusting. But it seems to me like it's one of those things where a man came up with it and women were like, I guess, and then
docking is men came up with it and women are like, I guess.
But to the degree that it happens in real life,
Yeah.
it's because it's like, oh, this is something we're supposed to do because we saw it in porn.
Yeah.
But it's like nothing would occur to anybody to do.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we get on this topic? Was it your Bieber?
You said let's jack each
Right,
other
right,
off later.
Do you have a Bieber?
Yeah. Are we on Biebers now?
Yeah, we're on Biebers.
Okay. I'm gonna try to be vague
Okay.
here because I don't want to
Because
throw.
it's about me.
It's when your podcast co-host. No. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here,
All right. All right.
but it's the inability to follow instructions.
Okay.
And this is in a client, like a business relationship.
Sure.
Because I feel here, this is a frustration I have.
Okay. Because you are in the situation now where you are talking to people who you need stuff to do for. You need people to do stuff for you.
Yes.
Like what's what I'm thinking of when you're
Opening a restaurant?
yeah, you're opening a restaurant, but you're when you are cleaning out the place, you're tearing everything down.
Yeah, like demolition?
Yeah,
Gutting?
gutting. Yeah, you're gutting a place or
Yeah.
something. Like you're giving people directions.
Yeah, so we have multiple people that are working for us to do things for us that we need.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I'm an over communicator, and I'm overly, almost to a fault, conscientious about how I communicate to people. Um, I'm very like aware of like, hey, this looks great. Thanks so much.
Right.
A suggestion though, I'd like to see a version of this that looks like this, but like, thanks so much, exclamation point.
Right.
And I look at the way people respond back to me, and I'm like, I would fucking never send that email. I would never, especially if I'm the one being paid by a boss to do something, I would never respond like that.
Right.
But that's just me. I'm aware of how I want to make sure that the people who are like working for me or, supplying my need, whatever that might be, that they feel like, oh, I appreciate what you're doing. This is great. We're getting close. A couple suggestions. It's a whole compliment sandwich thing,
Right.
where it's like, say something nice about me, tell me what you really want to say, and then say something nice about me.
Right.
I try to do that.
Right.
But it's like, I feel like I'm very, very clear for the most part about if I know what I want, and I recognize, because I've hired people to do stuff for me where it became clear that I'm not sure what I want.
Right.
Or Janie and I together are unsure, or we're not presenting a
United front.
A united front. So it's frustrating. I understand that's also a possibility.
Right.
But when it's like, when I know what I want, I feel like I'm very, very clear.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm almost feel like I'm a dream
Client.
because it's like,
Yeah.
here, I want this and this, and I want it to look like that. Like here, make that. And then they make it, and I'm like, thank you. That's exactly what I said I wanted, and you made it, and it looks as good as I thought it would look.
Right.
Because you're talented. But when it's like, I say, here's what I want, and I'm clear about it with screenshots and snipping tool, like, I almost feel like I'm being pedantic in doing their job for them.
Right.
Because I'm saying, I want it to look like this, and I want this here, this here, this here. And when they don't do it, and it's like they send me something where it's like, okay, did you read what did you even read what I said? Like,
Right.
because and then it gets to the point where it's like, I start feeling bad. Like, well, now I just feel like I have to accept
You got to
something.
reiterate something that you already said
And
clearly.
there's no way to do it for the fifth time where I don't sound condescending.
Right.
But it's like, now I start feeling like, well, now I just have to accept subpar work that I don't want, because I feel bad continually saying, okay, let me try again.
Yeah.
This is what I want.
Yeah. Don't accept subpar work. Just believe that the other person just honestly doesn't understand yet.
Right. But that's a Bieber when it's like,
Yeah. Oh,
because
totally.
I get to a point where I'm like, okay, now I feel like I'm the price you quoted me for this work. I feel like you're regretting doing the work for me because
Right.
it's taking too many iterations.
Right.
But the reason it's taking too many iterations is because you're not following
Yeah, if
my
you would have followed
instructions.
directions, the first iteration back would have been perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a Bieber.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure as I move forward in this restaurant,
You're gonna have
venture-
so many Biebers over the next year. You are not gonna run out of Biebers.
No.
By the way, this is episode 290, and I can think of one or two episodes where I haven't had a Bieber. Mm-hmm. But they've mostly been unique, and you're gonna have 50 more in the next year.
Yeah, because
52 more.
all of the work that goes into starting a restaurant and building out a space and hiring staff and getting them to
Every time I travel, I get 10 more Biebers. Every time you start a business, you're gonna get a bunch of new Biebers.
Yeah. But that's kind of it,
Yeah.
Just like this. I mean, I'm not being vague here. I'm not saying I want something kind of cool, but kind of spiritual, but kind of practical too. Make
Right.
that. I'm not being esoteric.
Right.
It's like, no, I want this here. I want that there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well then you send me something back, and I'm like, well that's not
Right.
anything close to what I asked for.
Right.
So
Yeah. My Bieber is pretty simple. You ever call a company and you get their automated attendant, and they're like, okay, say or spell out or whatever the confirmation number, right?
Right.
And you're like X67143.
Yeah.
And then they say, give us a second while I look it up. And then all of a sudden you hear the typewriter or the keyboard. It's like a thing now. So you'll call up like I think
it's an automated fake sound.
It's an automated fake keyboard that you hear a person typing. So it's an auto attendant saying, give me 1 second while I look that up. And then during the 5 seconds while they're searching the database, or the fake auto attendant is looking the database up, there is fake keyboard noise.
I've
It's
never
like,
heard this.
oh, I found your reservation. Yeah, it's like a thing now. And I'm just like,
It'd be like if you.
I don't need the fake keyboard noise. I know you're fake. I know you're not real. Don't try to pretend you're real to me. It doesn't comfort me. It doesn't make me feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, it'd be like if you're like, Alexa, what's the temperature going to be tomorrow? And she's like, hang on a minute. And you hear the sound of like pages turning.
Yeah. It's exactly it. So I heard it the other day and I'm like, Bieber, and wrote it down because it's loud too. It's like, it's like a keyboard. You know, like it's like a typewriter more than a keyboard.
Yeah.
And it's because it's specifically loud, you know. It's not like the quiet Apple keyboard. It's this loud typewriter. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't need the noise, the added noise to my hold time.
But it's an interesting thing, though, a bigger issue of like digital. It's like the attempt to make digital things seem analog.
Feel more real, yeah.
Well, it's like on like digital readers like the Nook or whatever they are. The Kindle, where you turn the page,
yeah,
and it's a graphic that looks like a page, like a paper page turning.
Yeah.
To where it's like,
who needs that?
Are you trying to be like quaint and you're obviously trying to be quaint because you're trying to make this thing look like a book.
Right.
It's not a book, but it's like, you know, I swipe left and I see a digital image of a fake page turning.
Right.
It's like, are we afraid to just
somewhere
embrace?
there's a study group somewhere going, oh, people react better to seeing the page turn.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
Anyway, that kind of bewildered me.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
Okay.
So we'll have one more week of the Proust Questionnaire.
Okay.
And then somebody sent us a pretty interesting test, and it was all about like ethics and morals, and answering questions about what would you do if you're stuck in the mountains and you have a vitamin deficient family with you, and there was somebody whose kidney could
Kill 'em.
Right.
Next.
So I thought that was pretty
Easy.
interesting. We might talk about some of those, and we'll get back to voicemails and stuff because we haven't answered many voicemails. In a while.
Somebody called in and was really having a hard time with my Bieber last week about sexual prowess.
Yeah. So we'll get back. We'll get to all that.
But I'm saying, what I wanted to say to her, and we will get to your voicemail, whoever you are.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh yeah, I understand that like oral sex is a thing, and that women have a vagina.
Right.
I get it, and a clitoris or a clitoris.
What? What is that?
It's just a mythical thing that they say they have.
I'm off to find the mythical clitoris.
But it's like,
What movie's that?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you think Post Malone does that? Because that was who I was referencing when he brags about his sexual prowess. I can do things that your man cannot. It's like, oh, like you're some multi-billionaire rapper with women. You know, you got 100 bitches in your trailer. They say they ain't got a man. Yeah. So he's gonna give attention to that. Like he's gonna do the work.
Right.
No, he's not.
I disagree with you though, because some men like doing that.
I agree that they do. I like it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Okay, yeah, I like it.
But it's like,
so,
but if you're some guy, if you're some 22-year-old rapper that women are just throwing themselves at constantly,
he's just laying on his back drinking a beer, trying to change the channel on.
He's drinking a Bud Light while she's doing her thing.
He can say whatever he wants. He's Post Malone,
right? But he doesn't do things that your man cannot. He doesn't
can say it though.
He can say he does, but it's like, no, you're probably a horrible lay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like somebody who's super good, like a woman who's just super good looking in high school. It's like, yeah, your personality sucks.
Yeah.
Most likely, you have no sense of humor and your personality sucks.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm as funny as I am because I had no eyebrows in high school. You've got to be funny if you had no eyebrows in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. You
to
gotta
make friends.
You gotta somehow figure out a ways to make up for stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
All right.
Good talking to you.
Yeah. Bye.
Later.
Yo, Jay, Christian, Man, Jay from Trump County, York, PA, calling. Everyone's an addict, man. Don't deny it. Like, seriously, bro. Jeez, man. I can't help it. I mean, I thought it was just about Swiss and cheddar. Then I got some, like, Amish farm cheese, man. Oh, that was so good. But like, now I'm, like, into things like Welchfoot and, like, Gorgonzola, man. I mean, I know it's heavy stuff. I mean, some people even say it's bad, that it's gone bad, like, you know. But, man, I just can't stop. Jeez. I mean, I admit it. I'm addicted to friggin' cheese. Everyone's an addict, man. Oh, that's some fresh mozzarella, man. Yeah, I'm down for some fresh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, garlic infused, man. Haven't smoked that mozzarella, but I'm definitely down for smoking some mozzarella. Well, I gotta go because I'm about to smoke some mozzarella.